Alrighty, hello, my name is Alan Richardson. I am an independent consultant. You can find me at EvilTester.com. And this is, I've made an assumption that people here are kind of test managers or test leads, and we're looking at agile projects, DevOps projects, and sometimes we look at the real world and we see people talking about these things and it's unclear how our roles fit in. And I just want to give you a quick survival guide. This is how to survive, because a lot of the time what we're dealing with is we're dealing with adaptive processes and adaptive systems. And they are generally, in the real world, like survival, evolutionary, how people survive in these things, which is why I use those words. And I'm aiming it at test managers, because is anyone here doing an agile project? Okay, is anyone doing a DevOps project? Is anyone doing an agile and a DevOps project? Are people doing DevOps because agile didn't work? Has everyone got agile working? People still doing waterfall? Okay. Right, but the problem we're dealing with agile and DevOps is, I don't think we have any formal definitions. I could be wrong. Right? There could be formal definitions out there. There might be well-defined definitions of what it means to be agile. But I don't know what they are, because every time I see a project, they're working differently. I don't think it is approached in the same way in every company. Like, you'll wander around here and you'll go, hi, I'm Alan, hi, I'm Bob, we do agile too, and it'll be high fives. But no one will really be doing the same agile, right? Because agile is different in every place. So we've got these words that we can agree on, but they're different. So I don't think people really agree on what they are, which is good for us in terms of where do test managers or test leads fit into this type of process. Because testing thrives when there's ambiguity. That's what testers are really good at. Testers are really good at spotting ambiguity. When there's ambiguity in requirements, we identify that and we test for that. When there's ambiguity in communication, when people don't really understand what's going on, when there's uncertainty, that's when testing is really good. And we have years of training in dealing with uncertainty, in ambiguity, in clarifying it, in asking questions. Now, when there's no definitions, that really means that everything is up for grabs. Right? We get to define it. If someone else doesn't have a definition, you can give them a definition. So everything is up for grabs in the terms of Agile. Now, when you look at the Agile literature, what we very often see are books and articles talking about the team as a system. Now, when I'm talking about software development, I'm talking about a system of development, the way that we develop it, the way that we develop things. Not necessarily the process, because the process is something that other people do. System is something that we are part of. And when we talk about a system of development, that is everyone working together. Very often Agile talks about the team as a system, how the team work together, how the product owner works with the developers, how we work through that sprint, what we do in there in terms of the communication processes, how we communicate, how we work. But unfortunately in the real world, or fortunately in the real world for everyone, it's not just the team in isolation. The team sits inside a department which is working on multiple projects, with multiple teams, with political stuff on the top, with multiple change management processes going on at the same time. The real world is a messy place. And very often when we look at the Agile descriptions, management is not mentioned in there. Right? Scrum Masters are not management. They are Scrum Masters. They are helping the team succeed. Very often Scrum Masters are ex-project managers, so they find it hard to fit into that role because they're used to managing, and being a Scrum Master is very different. So we've got this team as a system that is very collaborative, and it doesn't really mention test management, it doesn't really mention test leads. So very often when we look at this in literature, people get confused and they don't know where they fit in. People don't understand testing in the first place, so you can tell them what testing actually means. You can tell them what testing actually means in Agile to define your role in there, because presumably as a test manager you have experience, and very often teams lack experience. You can provide some of that if you can communicate in the right way, because they need the right types of experience. What they don't need is experience of massive processes and massive documents and massive lead times. What they do need is experience in understanding risk, how to identify risk, how to determine whether we're going to mitigate or accept risk, how we're going to track risk over time, how we're going to collaborate in terms of communication, how to have a thick skin sometimes, which is what test managers are often very good at. Right, we've got no formal definitions as far as I'm aware, which means what we have are idealized models of things. Right? People have heard all the good stuff about Agile. Before I got into Agile, I've heard lots of good stuff about it. I had an idealized model of Agile in my head. And that's not really what mapped onto the real world. We have to learn to work with the real world rather than idealized models. And what you'll find is we have competing models of Agile. So you've got Scrum, you've got Kanban, you've got different ways of doing things. You've got DevOps moving into that same space. And these are idealized models that are unclear. Because idealized models clash. Right? An idealized model of Agile is going to clash with an idealized model of test management. Particularly if your idealized model of test management is testers sitting separately from development teams working on documentations, creating test cases and test scripts. These idealized models are not going to work. Fortunately, we work in the real world. We deal with systems of development. And within there, we have negotiable relationships. What are the outcomes of those? Do they work? Do they cause us issues? What are the risks inherent in there? Testers are usually pretty good at spotting risks. And risks aren't just product risks. Risks aren't just business risks. Risks are how we interact. Where is the ambiguity in our communication? All of these things are risks. Where are the things that are actually going wrong? What issues are we experiencing? Are we ignoring those? When we have retrospectives, do we ignore the issues or do we actually act on them? Because issues come through. People are pretty good at recognizing issues, even if they're not good at recognizing risks. But then there's a risk if we don't actually act on the issues. What is important to understand is that regardless of whether people understand Agile or not, the core of testing is fundamentally unchanged when we move into Agile. Right? We still test because we want information about the repeatable functionality, whether things are continuing to work under this particular set of data, under these particular conditions. We might put rituals in place to try and mitigate it, but they don't always work because they're not always implemented effectively. What I want you to take on board is that you are a system, right? You are a system, a skill sets, experiences, there's things that you can do. It's not as though you're interfacing with a process, you're interfacing with other systems. If we think of things as processes, development process, agile process, scrum process, we are external to that. We are not. We are systems and we interface. And then we look at the communication links, and then we look at the relationships, and pretty much everything is a relationship point. And we need to look to see whether that is working or not.